You're welcome back to the marketplace. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has been rounding up their engagement to review the health of the economy. This was after it began meeting from this Wednesday to take decisions on the banking sector, the cedi and interest rates. There's more in this report.
Sources say this is one of the toughest meetings by the committee, which is chaired by the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, as they looked at the state of the economy and what monetary measures should be instituted to complete efforts by government to firmly stabilize the economy. One cannot forget about developments in the banking sector as the committee members looked at measures that should be instituted to send signals that the sector is safe and sound despite recent developments, including putting UniBank under administration. They are also expected to take decisions to firmly stabilize the cedi and policy rate, which is likely to influence the cost of credit in the country. The rate is currently pegged at 20% after some significant cuts at their last meeting. Industry players would also be looking forward to the regulator's verdict on timelines for implementing the new formula for interest rate calculation.
And the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has justified the decision by the government to abolish the fumigation levy as well as payment of other import levies imposed on some 64 commodities. The fumigation levy, for instance, was expected to help the Ghana Health Service and Revenue Authority raise funds to support fumigation of shipping containers and other imported commodities before they get into the Ghanaian market. However, after a huge public outcry, government has decided to scrap the levy, arguing it will impede investment drive through the ports. Dr. Bawumia stated this at the Maiden Youth Entrepreneurship Forum organized by the National Youth Authority here in Accra.
Businesses also complained as we came into office about very high import tariffs. It was a major challenge, and it is a major challenge. We reduced the special import levy, abolished duty on spare parts and so on. But there were still issues to do with the cost of import. Just yesterday, after a meeting to understand what was really going on, and thankfully the Commissioner General of the GRA, Mr. Kofinti, was very much a key player in this discussion. After discussion at the economic management team, we realized what was really going on, and we took quick steps to remove import VAT on over 1,000 items in 64 commodity groups. And this is going to help business. These efforts to exclude many other tax cuts, these efforts exclude the many other tax cuts and reductions outlined in the 2017 budget. In fact, we abolished or reduced 15 separate taxes in the 2017 budget. Clearly, this government's record on taxation has not only been supportive of the business environment, it is also unmatched in our recent economic history. Remarkably, we are doing all these while balancing the books to achieve the first ever positive primary budget balance over a decade. Significant contraction of the fiscal deficit from 9.3% at the end of 2016 to 5.6%. In fact, 2017 was the first year since 2006 that any government has set a target and been able to meet it, and not only meet it, to do better than the target in terms of the fiscal deficit.
Meanwhile, Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Emmanuel Kofinti, is dismissing suggestions that the decision will affect revenue targets of government.
The issue was that before long, and before we did the revision, the target was done on the assumption that those things were not counted in our targets. And so with the revision of the HS code, we're going to generate some revenue on those lines, which we are not really projected for. So as to the impact on the revenue is not that much. Not that much, because the HS code was only revised.
But can we put figures to it?
That one I won't be able to put figures to it immediately. Because when you look at it for the last 4 years, we've not really collected revenue on them. It's now that, post the 2013 budget, it's now that after the revision of the HS code, we're going to get some issues. So I can't really put numbers to it.
But how much were we expecting, were we targeting earlier on?
No, the 39 billion that was our overall target still stands. But then, that is it. The 39 billion target hasn't gotten any numbers for those things which we revised and try using the HS code to embody into the tax net. So the core issue is that, as I know it, there's going to be an extra revenue that was going to come in to support the GRA's work and government collection.
Now, away from that, CEO of the Ghana Investments Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, has allayed fears current developments in the banking sector could have a negative toll on international investors following the management takeover of UniBank by the Bank of Ghana and the subsequent collapse of 2 other banks. Concerns are being made over how investor confidence in the financial sector could diminish. But Yofi Grant insists these developments will rather send the right signals to investors on the effectiveness of the banking regulations in the country. He was speaking to Joy Business after a breakfast meeting for CEOs organized by the GIPC.
The thing is, as the president keeps saying, they want to create a business environment in Ghana such that any business that comes here, whether it's foreign or domestic, makes money. But there are rules and regulations, and you have to work within rules and regulations. If you're not very tight on the rules and regulations, you open a minefield because people come in and do all sorts of things. And for banking, it's particularly worrying because deposits are from people. You and I is working on the street, take our money to the bank. You want to make sure that they are safe and that when we want our monies, we can get them. If there's anything that compromises the safety of that money, it's the duty and of the central bank to make sure they rectify it, to make sure that banks are compliant.
So they don't feel worried, they have no concerns?
Well, I do have concerns that it shouldn't happen in the first place. But I'm also encouraged that the Bank of Ghana is doing the right things. And sometimes you hear people make comments that, oh, why should they go and close the bank and said, but it's important because at the end of the day, first of all, there's the structure of the banking sector that needs to be maintained, safe and sound. Then, of course, there are depositors' funds that also need to be safe and sound and guaranteed. And so you can't have any company come in or any bank come in and just do things that are outside the remit of the law. Those laws are for right purposes.
So on this same situation, we want to explore how it's going to impact the local capital market. And we've been joined on the line by an investment banker who is also CEO of Echo Capital Investments, Dela Agbo, to share some thoughts. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the marketplace.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Now, we are aware that UniBank is not a listed equity on the local bears. Now, in situations like these, how does it affect the capital markets?
Yes, Emmanuel, we know very well that UniBank is now listed on the stock exchange. However, anything that has to do with capital market or financial institutions has this effect on the market, especially when decisions are coming from regulators. So usually as market players, we always pay attention to whatever reactions that will come from the regulators like DOG. In this case, since investment is purely based on confidence in the market. So when regulators making decisions, we look at what effect the market do. So in this case, looking at UniBank, the impact to the investor confidence, as the investors endorse whatever that is happening or not. Looking at the trading activities for the past few days, it looks like either the investors and or they just do not care. Okay? Because you can see that the bank is still stable and performing. There is no effect in terms of market or panic sales. So investors are not selling. In fact, prices in some of the stocks listed are still going up. So in other words, it means that investors believe that whatever decision BOG is making is at the right direction.
All right, now, Dela, so what exactly could investors be thinking about, especially when the regulator, that's the Bank of Ghana, is giving effective reasons why it took this action? Do you think that it could still send these wrong signals to investors or potential investors on the market?
Such as US and other developed markets, we pay attention to the regulators, especially when Federal Reserve is speaking, everybody pay attention to that. In Ghana, the same thing applies. In this case, we are all aware that there are some number of banks that are having issues. Now, so far, we have seen 3 so far. The rest are still unknown. And that creates a lot of uncertainty. In a market where there is uncertainty, we are careful in terms of where to invest money. For instance, quite a number of clients have reached out to me to find out, are they safe? And the question then is, we are not quite sure, you understand, because you are acting in the area of uncertainty, and that's how investment is. My job is to manage the risk, you understand? So you have to look at it in terms of, okay, is there any of the listed banks or any of the listed institutions that we having difficulty? We let with investment advisors to look at that and see how best they can manage it. And don't forget, not too long ago, we still have not resolved the UT issue. Many shareholders in UT have still not known whether they are getting anything back or not. So in a developed market, I would have expected some movement in the stock market, some kind of panic. But in this case, we have not seen anything like that. Good is good for our market.
All right, many thanks for those comments. Dela Agbo is CEO of Echo Capital Investments and also an investment banker. Let's all stay further on this banking development. And UniBank has abandoned plans to seek arbitration over the appointment of KPMG to manage the bank. This follows an initial disclosure to Reuters news agency that the bank is going this way to challenge the management takeover. Now, George Biafe has been engaging the lawyer of the bank, Dr. David Aine, and has joined me here in the studio for more clarification. Good afternoon, sir.
So I have been engaging Dominic Aine, and he's the lawyer for UniBank. And first, let's get some background to this whole issue. Now, when you look at the banking law itself, it gives provision to parties that Bank of Ghana has appointed administrator to manage the bank, an option to actually challenge that particular process. And that is what the lawyer of the bank indicated, that they would consider or they will look at that option because of how the whole issue was handled. But going back to why they've actually reviewed their decision is that after initial engagement with accounting firm KPMG on how they are planning to do this, they believe that it's more of in good faith, and they believe that it's not necessary to even consider going that way. I've been engaging Dominic Ayenene. He is the lawyer for UniBank, and he's been explaining to us more why they are going this way.
Issue of arbitration cropped up when I granted an interview to Reuters and said that that is an option which is open to the bank. However, no decision has been taken regarding the challenge, of the decision of the Bank of Ghana by arbitration.
So Having a hindsight of that statement that was already out, as we speak right now, have you abandoned that position, or it is still on the table, or it's under consideration, or you are not going to contest the Bank of Ghana on the appointment of an administrator to take over the bank?
Let me answer the question in this way. That was an option initially, contemplated, okay, by the owner of the bank. But as we speak now, okay, that option has been completely abandoned. In other words, there is no intention now, to take the matter before an arbitral body under the Alternative Dispute Resolution, Act.
Why did you abandon the process? Do you think so that you didn't have an option, or there wasn't any case to be made there?
Well, it is not about not having a case to be made, because a case could definitely be made in terms of the way the Bank of Ghana served the notice and the manner in which it conducted its affairs. However, the meetings that were held with KPMG were very fruitful and mutually agreed, solutions have been found to the problems, proposed solutions have been agreed upon. And so there will be no need, rocking the boat in a manner that will bring about, some tension with respect to the administration of the bank for the 6 months that KPMG will be serving as the official administrator.
So it was more of a procedural issue than the action taken by the regulator?
Well, I would say both. There were issues with respect to what the regulator had done, okay, and I don't want to go into the nitty-gritties of those issues. In terms of the substantive reasons, for appointment of the administrator, the official administrator. However, there were also procedural issues. For instance, I'll give you one example. When a law or a statute provides for the serving of notice, inherent in the requirement of a notice is the right to be heard. So when I'm served the notice cannot be itself a fait accompli, telling me that your action pursuant to the notice, right, is already triggered. All right. When you have been served a notice, you need to be given a right to be heard because the grounds were stated. Okay, and procedurally, UniBank should have been given an opportunity to answer to the grounds, and then the Bank of Ghana will say, look, we have your answer, but we disagree. We want to go ahead with the appointment of the administrator. So there were procedural issues, but those, as I've said, both the administrator, the official administrator, KPMG, and UniBank have found, amicable solutions to the problems, and therefore there will be no need for us to pursue.
All right, so that was Dr. Dominic Ayine. He is the lawyer for UniBank. But George, I wanted you to find out from him if indeed suggestions making rounds that management of UniBank should be prosecuted is in the right direction.
Well, he is saying that let's get to that stage and let's see the argument that will be made, because he doesn't think that those who are making that case really have a solid ground if they should go to court in trying to push that argument. So it's like, okay, bring it on and we'll take up the issue in court.
All right. Thank you very much,
Thank
George,
you so much,
for that update. That's my colleague, George Wiafi, bringing us up to speed with developments lurking around prosecutions and also the legal issues involving the management takeover of UniBank. Now, let's move on now. And the Kumfi Pineapple Processing Factory, the first to be constructed under the government's One District, One Factory project, is making gains. The pineapple farm associated with the factory has so far cultivated 650 acres of pineapples. That's according to the lead project manager of the factory, Daniel Ejie Kwarting. Managers and contractors working on the project tell Joy News Richard Kwadwo Nyako they are committed to cultivating over 3,000 acres of pineapples to ensure a continuous supply of the fruits all year round.
Even though Joy News did not see physical structures mushrooming on the project site at Ekumfi Nabin, the contractor working on the earth-moving works of the factory, Anthony Chinebu Akodua, says all groundwork needed for the physical structure to take off on the site have been completed, and the actual building of the physical structure of the factory is scheduled to start next week.
About 32 days, with the exception of the rocky areas that we're supposed to take it off. So that's why that is waiting. But the job itself is just about 32 days. People need to go to where we say the construction is going on and go and look at it for themselves. Because if you don't go to site and you sit in your comfort zone and say that nothing has been done on it, that one you are just deceiving yourself. Always you have to go and see whether what you're saying they are doing it or they are not doing it. The first phase is done. That was my work. I'm looking forward to also get another one if God being so good on our side. So we are here. We're still here.
General Manager of the company, Daniel Ejie-Kwatin, tells Joy News all is set for the fiscal structure to be put on the land. He gives the month of December as the month for the total completion of the factory.
Okay, so we are working with prefabricated steel, which has already been ordered. So I would have given a period of about 6 more months. That's the timeline we are working with to see the first structure actually completed. We'll add another 2 months for machine installation and electrical works. And then we want to run a 1-month test period just to make sure all machines are functional and the entire process is running perfectly before we actually start mass production.
So should we come here in December, we should see the completion of all that we have?
My hope is in December we'll be able to invite everybody, all the people who are supporting us on this project from Accra, all the stakeholders, we can bring them here and show them a completed factory project benefiting the entire community and the entire region.
On raw materials that will feed the factory, the manager intimates the factory had received support from the Ghana Export Promotion Authority to grow 5 million pineapples, while other key supports are coming from the Exim Bank and the Office of the One District, One Factory.
This project. And in as much as we would like to also purchase from the open market, we want to make sure that we are also going ahead and controlling at least 60% of the factory supply. And that has led us to this two-pronged approach of using our growers and also a nucleus farm to feed the factory. We talked about irrigation earlier on. Yes, it's true. Agriculture in Ghana has been heavily dependent on natural rain. But as a contingency plan, you can see in the background we have built a dam to the effect of ensuring that there's water available. We've also received a lot of support, from government agencies like GEPA and Anti-Gifty Clenam. We have received, millions of plants committed to this project, committed to feeding our growers, committed to feeding the nucleus farm. Exim Bank under Mr. Ajinsim has also been hugely supportive, offering key oversights, giving us advice, making sure we are meeting our targets.
Daniel Ejie-Kwatin explains the factory is mindful of the experiences of the Commander Sugar Factory and would not put the cart before the horse.
Ensuring that we do not repeat the Commander saga. These people are making sure that this project is going on and is going to be one of the best sustainable projects in this country. Bear in mind, the factory is just a processor. A processor's main job is to convert raw material into value-added products. And with value-added products, you cannot generate those products without the pineapple in the ground. That is why ahead of time, our priority was not necessarily putting up a structure, but ensuring there is supply on the ground. Designing an outgrower team and building a base team also on the nucleus farm to make sure it can be fed. Prefabs have been ordered, the concrete foundations are being put in place, and the factory will be up. But because it has a gestation period of 12 months, we want to make sure that there is adequate supply of pineapple on the ground, which can feed the factory for years and years to come.
This is one of the farms that have been procured for the planting of pineapple to feed the Kumfi Fruits and Juices Factory. The Kumfi Fruit Processing Company, when completed, is expected to process pineapples for the local and international markets. Richard Kwejonya-Akon, Joy News, Ekumfi.
And that will be it on the marketplace today. Many thanks for watching throughout the week. My name is Emmanuel Boaji Wiafi. Let's meet next Monday for more business. Good afternoon.